The tension that forms behind the scenes of the league is sometimes more intense than any battle on the court, and when the subject is Golden State, that pressure grows even more, because every move, or the lack of one, has the potential to change the fate of an entire franchise. Behind the cameras, far from the arena lights, decisions are made based on strong opinions, silent fears, and risk calculations that very few people truly understand. It was in this tense environment that one detail altered the team's path. A disagreement that seemed small, but ultimately defined what they would not do in the market and what they would let slip away with no chance of return. By very little, perhaps a breath, the Finnish forward who has been drawing attention around the league could be wearing the blue and gold uniform today. And this is no exaggeration. There were conversations, there was interest, there was deep analysis of the possibilities. But there was also a contrary voice, an opinion that at that moment carried more weight than any number in the internal spreadsheets. The result? He stayed exactly where he was. And now, looking at everything that happened afterwards, it is clear that it was the last real chance Golden State had before the window shut almost completely. Time passed, the landscape shifted, and at this moment the chances of a deal involving the Finnish forward are so low they practically do not exist. And the reason is no secret behind the scenes. Utah's current leadership does not seem willing to let go of their main player, not even with teams desperate for high-level reinforcements circling. Reliable sources state that the intention is to strengthen the core rather than dismantle it. This means that, contrary to what many believed, he is not expected to appear in real negotiations this cycle. This is a harsh blow for several teams that, until recently, saw him as the missing piece capable of turning a competitive roster into a true contender. There are franchises that had already drawn out possible scenarios, mapped tactical adjustments, and even calculated their next financial steps. Among them, Golden State hovered in the background, although the math made it clear from the start that the transaction would be extremely difficult without sacrificing valuable pieces from the roster. And it is not just a matter of including a promising young player, but potentially involving figures who uphold much of the team's identity, both on and off the court. Without a trade of that magnitude, the only alternative would be sacrificing future draft picks as well as multiple developing players, which would, in practice, create a massive gap in the medium and long-term project. It is easy to understand why the talks cooled. And looking at what the Finnish forward has done this season, the magnitude of the missed opportunity becomes even more evident. After a slump in performance that dropped his market value, he rebuilt his reputation with impressive displays. His current averages are the highest of his career, showing growth in volume and efficiency, along with a confidence that stands out to any analyst. In the midst of this scenario, while some doors closed, others began to open, but in unexpected directions. And as always happens when something goes wrong in Golden State, one name surged into the center of the conversations, even if not always fairly: Jonathan Kuminga. The young talent, still trying to stabilize his place within the team structure, once again became a recurring figure in discussions about potential trade. It is not the first time this has happened, and it is clearly not going to be the last. The story repeats itself like an echo from the past, especially when we remember that the Indiana Pacers had already shown interest in him before. That long-standing admiration did not come from nowhere. During earlier negotiation periods, Kuminga was placed on Indiana's radar as a valuable asset with growth potential. When the team was restructuring its roster and assessing possibilities involving high-impact players, his name appeared frequently among those they evaluated with care. The Pacers appreciated his physical profile, his athletic ability, his developmental ceiling, and, above all, the fact that he is still young enough to be shaped according to the franchise's vision. Those conversations, of course, never developed into anything concrete at the time, because Indiana's focus eventually shifted to another player who would be sent to Sacramento in one of the most talked-about trades of that season. Even so, the admiration remained. And now, with him healthy and trying to earn more minutes, the subject has heated up again. It is as if every game he plays draws more attention from other teams than from the one that develops him daily. An important factor in this scenario is the young player's current contract. With the team option projected ahead, he naturally becomes an attractive target for franchises seeking talent without long-term financial commitments. He combines energy, explosiveness, slashing ability, and developmental potential, all wrapped in a contractual situation that offers flexibility. It is no surprise that teams are watching closely how Golden State intends to proceed from here. The truth is that this story seems to have reached a breaking point. Either the franchise decides to fully embrace the player's development, integrating him consistently into its immediate plan, or the cycle of uncertainty finally ends with him being sent somewhere he will have more responsibility and opportunity. Many already see this outcome as inevitable, not due to lack of talent, but because the paths between player and team appear to be moving at different speeds. While the market heats up around names like Kuminga, another figure gaining attention in the rumor rankings is Keon Ellis. His playing time has dropped, his future in Sacramento is undefined, and, naturally, this opens space for speculation. He has admirers who appreciate his defensive style and the energy he brings when called upon, but at the same time, his contract situation has turned his availability into something highly appealing for many teams. The interest is real and growing, and sources affirm that more than half the league has already made some level of inquiry. This is not a case of a star, but of opportunity. He is exactly the type of player competitive teams seek when they need depth, intensity, and versatility. Moreover, his short contract makes the decision even easier for teams wanting to test something new without committing a large portion of the payroll. In this context, the Pacers once again appear among the franchises observing the movement, expanding the negotiation web involving players with completely different profiles, but with one shared point. Any of them could change direction at any moment. Meanwhile, on the opposite end of the spectrum, emerge names that carry not only raw talent, but cultural weight within their franchises. This is the case of Morant, who is living a turbulent moment not only on the court, but also in his relationship with the organization. His talent is undeniable, but recent controversies and fluctuations have created an atmosphere of caution around him. Rival teams observe from a distance, waiting for any sign of a definitive rupture that would allow them to advance with aggressive proposals. However, up to now, Memphis leadership has rejected every approach, maintaining its stance of not letting go of its main point guard at this moment. The main question is simple. How long will the franchise maintain this stance? And how long are other teams willing to wait? Everyone knows that players of that level rarely become available, and when they do, the race is fierce, unpredictable, and driven by quick decisions. Teams analyze the scenario with surgical precision, assessing his below-average performance this season and trying to understand whether it is merely a reflection of the current environment or an indicator of future decline. And it is in this chaotic environment, with so many overlapping situations, that Golden State now finds itself, without the finish forward, with Kuminga at the center of discussions and with the entire league spinning around possibilities and tensions. The clock is ticking. The rumors grow louder and the need for decisions approaches. What makes this moment even more complex is that nothing happens in isolation. Every rumor, every informal conversation, every silent movement from a front office directly affects the next. And at the center of this storm, Golden State tries to preserve an identity that was once an absolute reference, but now shows evident cracks. The franchise finds itself in a dangerous dilemma. Try to compete while rebuilding, or rebuild while pretending to compete. And it is precisely at this point that all the pieces begin to connect. With no concrete possibility of pursuing the finish forward, the front office knows it must look inward and understand exactly where the problem lies. Some believe that the team lacks a major name to reignite the roster's spark. Others argue that the team already has enough pieces, but needs to reorganize roles, give prominence to those ready to take on more responsibility, and, above all, accept that certain bonds from the past cannot continue guiding present decisions. And it is in this last part that Kuminga once again becomes a symbol of the internal conflict. Young talent demanding space versus a structure that insists on delaying his development. His situation is not just about trades. It represents the greater impasse. The team must decide whether it is ready to embrace the transition or try to delay it a little longer. Because while the franchise hesitates, other teams watch closely and patiently. Indiana, for example, has a recent history of aggressive retooling, moving important pieces without fear of severing ties with the past. When they identify potential, they do not hesitate, and this characteristic makes a renewed interest in Kuminga seem entirely plausible. And it is not only about technical fit. It is about what he represents for an emerging, young, energetic team. For the Pacers, he would fit perfectly into a fast-paced style, with space for drives, quick transitions, and a scheme that favors explosive athletes. For him, it would be the chance to become more than a promise who never gets enough minutes. It would be the opportunity to turn into a central piece. This is why the old interest never died. It simply remained on pause, waiting for the right moment to resurface. Meanwhile, on the other side of the spectrum, Golden State's front office tries to balance economic pragmatism with sporting urgency. With no major expiring contracts and a tight salary cap, flexibility is minimal. Any movement requires significant sacrifices, and the longer the situation drags on, the clearer it becomes that the team needs to make a definitive decision about its direction. Fan patience is shrinking, media pressure is rising, and inconsistent performances feed the feeling that time is running out. The external environment also contributes to this scenario. When players like Keon Ellis start generating market movement due to short contracts and defensive potential, a domino effect is created. Franchises that cannot chase big names start looking for smart alternatives, athletes who can fill specific gaps without demanding major investments. And this directly affects Golden State, because teams with fewer commitments and more flexibility can react faster, occupying spaces that once seemed obvious for them. But nothing stirs the market as much as the possibility, even a remote one, of a high-impact name like Morant becoming available. His situation with Memphis is still marked by tension, and although the front office does not want to let him go, there is a saturation point that no one can fully identify. Rival executives act like patient predators, observing signs, analyzing behaviors, and waiting for the exact moment to strike. Because they know that when a player of that caliber enters conflict with his franchise, everything changes quickly. And this phenomenon impacts every team, including Golden State. Not because they would have the means to enter a race for such a large contract, but because the mere fact that other teams focus resources and attention on elite guards changes the rhythm of the market. It opens space for parallel negotiations, makes some secondary players move more easily, and creates unexpected opportunities. It is precisely in these moments that attentive front offices manage to get ahead of the competition. The problem is that, in order to anticipate something, you must see clearly where you are heading. And today, Golden State still seems trapped between what it used to be and what it needs to become. All the pieces are on the board. The question is how they will be moved, and, as always, what happens behind the scenes determines everything. Conversations that never reach the public, proposals that appear and disappear within minutes, trades that depend on a tiny detail. All of this is happening now while the franchise tries to decide whether it will still fight for the present or accept that the future needs room to grow. And even amid all this uncertainty, one thing remains clear. Any decision involving Kuminga will be the turning point. Keeping him means investing in the transition. Trading him means betting on a short window while it still exists. There is no easy choice. There is no safe path. There are only consequences. Kai returned to the court with an impressive performance, reaffirming his status as one of the most promising talents in Asian basketball. In a recent game against Kyoto, he delivered a spectacular performance, scoring 20 points, grabbing 4 rebounds, and dishing out 3 assists. These numbers not only stand out in the stats, but also showcase the constant evolution of a player who becomes more complete with each game. From the first minute, it was clear he was ready to shine. Combining height, agility, and technical skills, he dominated the paint, leaving opposing defenders without answers. His mid-range shots were sharp, a reflection of the continuous effort he dedicates to improving his game. Moreover, his court vision became evident in decisive moments, distributing assists and connecting his teammates in important plays. When the game reached its most tense moments, Kai took responsibility, showing leadership and composure. In the third quarter, he made a memorable play by dribbling past two defenders, converting a crucial basket, and hitting the free throw after being fouled. Plays like this not only excite the crowd, but also highlight his ability to perform under pressure, a key trait for any player with ambitions of reaching the NBA. His fans have plenty of reasons to be excited. Kai is about to hit historic milestones in the B-League. With just 76 points remaining to reach 1,000 career points, he is approaching a select group of players known for their offensive consistency. Additionally, he has already surpassed 500 rebounds, establishing himself as a dominant presence in the paint on both offense and defense. He not only protects the painted area with authority, but also creates crucial second-chance opportunities for his team. Another important achievement is nearing. He is just 4 assists away from reaching 100 assists in the league. This reinforces his ability to create opportunities and involve his teammates in strategic plays. These numbers directly reflect the impact Kai brings to the court. His combination of imposing physicality, technical ability, and tactical intelligence makes him one of the most complete players in the league. Every point, rebound, and assist brings him closer not only to records but also to the dream of playing in the NBA. His performance has caught the attention of analysts and commentators who already consider him a player capable of raising the competitive level of the B-League. Comparisons with great past big men are starting to emerge, highlighting his potential to leave a legacy in international basketball. But for Kai, more than statistics or records, the important thing is to keep evolving and making his mark in every game. Kai Sotto's future has been one of the most debated topics among fans and experts, and one of the most mentioned destinations for him in the NBA is the Golden State Warriors. The franchise's fans have already started a campaign on social media asking for his signing, believing he could be the missing piece to strengthen the team. The Warriors are known for their fast and dynamic style of play, with an emphasis on long-distance shooting and constant movement. However, one of the team's weak points has been the lack of a dominant presence in the paint, someone who can protect the defensive area, grab rebounds, and bring balance to the team. Kai fits exactly that profile. His impressive height and game-reading ability are characteristics that could transform the Warriors' performance. Moreover, his international experience, facing different styles of basketball around the world, makes him an interesting prospect for a franchise looking to refresh its roster without sacrificing competitiveness. For the Warriors, signing Kai would represent a low-risk, high-potential move. He has already demonstrated his ability to contribute both defensively and offensively, being an efficient finisher near the basket and constantly improving his mid-range shot. Combining this with his competitive mindset and dedication to improvement, he would fit well into the team's system. The fans are excited about this possibility, knowing that players with Kai's skill set and potential are rare. For many, he could be exactly what the team needs to get back to competing for the top spot in the NBA. If you like the content, leave a like to support the channel and subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss anything about the Warriors. Thanks, and see you in the next video.